Hello, and welcome to the 247th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Brucker, and I'm coming to you live here from Casa de Brucker. We're going to be having another outstanding beer, and we're having somewhat of a local beer today from Three Daughters Brewing in St. Pete. We're going to be having their Oktoberfest Marzen. So let's go ahead and dig into this beer, and we'll talk about it while we're doing it. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before on what a Marzen beer is. Marzen means March, so what they do is they'll brew the beer, which is a lager, okay, a Marxist-Style lager that they brew in March, and then they cellar it for the summer, and then they'll break it out in like September for the Oktoberfest, okay, which is how the beer. Now, this beer from Three Daughters, they did actually brew it in March, from my understanding. I was reading a little bit about it. They do brew it in March and then release it in September. So I guess you'd consider that a well done Marzen. So very good stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, there's not a lot of ratings out on the beer because it's relatively new. The best I could get is on Untapped. It was a 3.5 out of 5, which on Untapped, that's a pretty solid rating because their rating scale is kind of odd. Just, because a lot of people that don't really understand the style of what a true Marxist style is, they might not rate it what it should get for its true style. So we'll kind of give it a rating after we've tried it, of course. The beer clocks in at 5.1% alcohol by volume. So it's perfect right in that Marzen area. You're getting a beautiful amber color. You're getting a nice head that's got a good retention. And if I kind of swirl it around there, you'll see it does get the lacing. The lacing dissipates a little bit faster, but you can still see that solid lacing right around the top there. We're drinking it out of this beautiful Beer Issues pint glass. So that's always good. So let's waste no time. Let's give it a smell here. So whenever you're talking about a Marxist style or really a lot of different styles of beers that are malty, you're going to get a very bready smell, like bready, like it's fresh baked bread. You know that nice, when bread is baking, you get that nice smell. Well, that's what you get in this because it's because of the malts. You get a nice fresh, and then you do get a little bit of a hop fragrance also, and it's got like a little bit of a sweetness to it, and that's from the malts. So I can already tell without even taking a sip of this beer that it's going to be a good Marxist style beer because it has all the characteristics of a properly done Marxist style beer. You're getting that bready, you're getting the light hops. So what does a Marxist style beer taste like? Well, first of all, it starts off malty from the malts that they use when they make the beer. And then they use noble hops, which we'll talk a little bit about what noble hops are, okay? But noble hops at the end, which gives it a crisp finish. So it starts off malty, but finishes off kind of crispy, not hoppy, but crisp on the end, if that makes any sense. And that's what you should get when you drink a Marxist style lager. You should get a malty in the beginning, a nice malty, flavorful, rich beginning, and then finish real crispy from the hops that they use. Now, the noble hops, there's really no particular variety of hops, I believe, that are really noble hops. Noble hops just means the best hops or the better hops. So there's hops and then there's noble hops, and it gives it like a royal meaning, but there's really not a royal meaning behind it from my understanding. It just means a better quality hop. And they're basically, most of the time you hear noble hops, they're European type hops, and it's just their higher quality hops that they're using, okay? So you might equate noble to higher quality. But there's no, from my understanding, there's no real true meaning to, there's no hop called noble. It's just a better hop, if you will, okay? So in Europe, when they're making beers, German beers, they're using their best hops for their Oktoberfest, or their better hops, or noble hops, as they would say. So let's go ahead, let's waste no time, let's dig into this beer here. Oh, that is a beautiful Oktoberfest. And this brewery is right out of St. Pete. So it is a somewhat local brewery. I have been to the brewery before. It's excellent. They do great. This beer is great. I love their Kolsch, which they also is a house beer at Hollerbox in Sanford, Florida. So they're the same ones who make the Kolsch for Hollerbox. And we'll probably do an episode on the Kolsch because it's really, really good. But they do make a lot of other good beers, don't get me wrong. But I just wanted to kind of bring that out when we're talking about German beers, that they not only do a great job on the Oktoberfest, but also a great job on the Kolsch. I'm a big fan of a nice fresh Kolsch, and they do a really, really nice job on the Kolsch. So thumbs up to them. And thumbs up for this beer. It's got the perfect, it's got that perfect malty front. It finishes a little bit crisp, but it's not like hoppy, you would say. I mean, it's got a crisp finish, and you do taste the hops, but they're not like an overpowering hop or anything like that. It's like just, they kind of nailed it. In my opinion, this is what, when I think of an Oktoberfest, this is pretty much right in style with what I would look for in an Oktoberfest. You get the beautiful malty, bready beginning, then it finishes with those hops, which just leads to a perfectly drinkable beer. You drink it, but it's not too sweet, not too malty, but then again, not too hoppy. So it's got a nice balance in the beer. I would 3.5 out of 5. It's hard to do them on the fives to get an accurate thing, but I would give this beer if I'll do it on a scale to 100, and I would give this beer in the 87, 88 range, which makes it a very good beer. There's some, the reason it's not higher is, the only thing I can say is the Germans, some of the German Oktoberfests I find to be even better. But this is a beautiful beer, well done. I give them a great rating, and very good on an Oktoberfest. You don't get too many of those. So, cheers. Now, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having talking about great beer and drinking great beer. If you want any cool Beer Issues gear like shirts, hats, phone cases, you name it, go to shop.beerissues.com. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.